Welcome to the Compass Method, powered by Purpose and Plants, where science meets soul and thriving begins when you find your true north. Hosted by Dr. Yolanda Rivera-Caudill, a double-board certified physician, mother of three, and founder of the Tiny Beet Lifestyle Medicine and Pediatric Clinic, and
Chelsea Dye, a certified lifestyle medicine coach, wellness strategist, and creator of Alchemist, Untamed. This show brings the real science to real life, powered by our passion project, Purpose and Plants.
Each episode explores how small shifts in food, movement, mindset, and family life can create massive results. Together, Dr. Yolanda and I share a compass for better life, a grounded guide to plant-forward health, brain-body balance, and modern motherhood.
From pediatric wellness and family health to neuroscience, nutrition, and mindset mastery, we will help you pause with a purpose, align your habits with your values, and rediscover what it means to thrive.
Powered by Purpose and Plants, because thriving begins when you're powered by Purpose and Plants. Well, welcome to the Compass Method, powered by Purpose and Plants, where we provide you with tips, tools, and tricks to live your best life using lifestyle medicine principles as your guiding force, and we help you to find your true north. And once again, I am Chelsea Dye.
I'm Dr. Yolanda Rivera-Caudill, and we're here to inspire you and empower you with information based on science and experience.
Yes. So Yolanda has, between the two of us, we have over 40 years of experience in health and wellness. So, and we are both parents. And today we are talking about parenting. And we're recording this podcast on the edge of a new year.
A milestone.
Yeah, milestone, 2026. And we are excited that so many people jump into new habits and resolutions, and so many and families do as well. But stress, especially parenting stress, can get in the way of achieving our goals. So we're going to talk first about some statistics that are kind of shocking. Mm-hmm. And when we were pulling the research, I think I had a moment of pause because I was overwhelmed by how many parents are stressed. Like, we know, but and so you can probably speak to that before we talk about the statistics.
Well, yeah, I see it in my practice. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, and this is what I love about this, because we're going to be able to, there is a solution, and there is hope, and there are ways to do it. And there's sometimes, we'll talk about that. But, it's sad to say 48% of parents in that poll, they say they're completely overwhelmed most days. And 26% of people that do not have children. So that gives pause to people to have kids.
Yeah, well, and there is a trend that less people are now having children. I don't think this should dissuade you. We're going to talk about
hope not.
No, but at the same time, the realities of raising children now are different than they've been in the past. And even 41% of parents say that they are not, and this is according to research that spanned from 2023 to 2025. So it's pretty relevant current research, that 41% say they are so stressed that they can't even function, that they can't get through their everyday.
I think part of the problem, and we probably will go deeper into this, but part of the problem is that parenting has never been intended to be a solo game. Mm-hmm. This is a community thing, a community engagement. So many times the people that are more stressed when they're so isolated from the support group. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be the family, it could be friends. But is very important that parents understand that these things overall, if you can take something about this, you need help in supporting each other.
Mm-hmm. And community is one of the things that in this age where we're all connected, there's so much disconnection.
Yes.
And as we know, the Surgeon General warned that loneliness is now one of the biggest challenges in our society. And so, diving a little deeper into some of the other challenges, and we're going to take the challenges that most people face, and we pulled this based on data and statistics about what parents say they're challenged with. And then Dr. Yolanda and I know firsthand as well. But another challenge is not only beyond analysis paralysis, too much information, the way we even on a fundamental level fuel our kids. And you have a statistic about this, which is,
And this is something I've seen, I've been in practice for about 36 years, and I've seen that shift, how it's being, and then again, it goes with the other changes in children, but 62% of the calories that the children consume in the United States is ultra-processed foods.
So 62%. I mean, if we really think about it, that's over.
This is children under age 18.
Yes.
Adolescents actually is probably worse.
Right.
The worst. I mean, when you see the guidance for Americans document, it discloses this separates everything. But you see the adolescents are the worst because they have the power to buy food and all that, and a lot of factors. But still, I mean, we have so much room to grow.
We do, and there are lots of simple tips and tricks, things that you can do, small shifts that you can make in your everyday life to shift, to join in more community, to shift out of stress, and then to minimize the amount of processed foods, ultra-processed foods. So let's kind of dive in. So, we've got, you'll have to bear with us because we're using our notes on this one because there's so much really important information that we want to make sure not to leave out. So going back to the things that cause the biggest challenge for parents, I'm going to read these off. Constant decision making. So our brain gets tired when we're making decisions all the time.
Yes.
And just as we said,
that's why habits are formed.
Yes, exactly.
So that the prefrontal cortex.
Yeah,
I will say that one day.
Yes.
It doesn't have to do so much so much work. So yes.
Well, and we have a podcast, and we'll link it in the notes about habits. We have actually a 2-part podcast about habits. But then another challenge is the logistical pressures of parenting and the time constraints. And I know that I can speak to a lot of my clients, and I'm a wellness consultant and lifestyle medicine coach in addition to our business together. But I can speak about the biggest challenge that my clients face is the time. And they feel like there's not enough time in the day, and so they reach for the easy things, the old habits that feel comfortable, that aren't good for them, and then the ultra-processed food. Concern, you want to...
No, but the mental health, as is the reality. And this is tied to all of these that we're talking about. It's tied to the parents' stress about the time. It's tied to the kids' exposure to a lot of media and lack of sleep. All these is lack of physical activity is all tied together. And we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. And, so just to reiterate, the mental health is a really big concern for parents. So they're starting to get the message that as the Anxious Generation was obviously a book that came out and talked about the stress that our kids are under based on the screen. But I think just the change in the pace of our everyday life has shifted to be so fast and so much pressure, and then not having the adequate tools in order to deal with it. Battling with routines and in integrating new things, that's a big thing that parents responded was really hard.
Sometimes I think they're pressured to have these scheduled routines of things that kids need to do. And the reality, sometimes they need less than that. And we're going to talk about boredom. They need probably less structured time than they think they need. They're doing it, thinking it's the best thing for the kids.
Yeah.
And the food battles is a real thing. That it doesn't have to be that bad.
Yeah, well, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be that bad. And it's also the way that we shape interactions. I think, how things are introduced in the beginning. But one thing that all of these have in common is that they are attacking our nervous system.
Oh, yes.
And so it's not only, it's not oh, I can improve my diet and life will just get so much better. That's the first step. But our nervous systems are under attack, and so let's together think about stress, and this is an opportunity to step out of stress and into success. I say that regularly.
And then and always think about progress, not perfection. Everybody, and this is talking about the scheduling the kids, over scheduling the kids, thinking that this is the right thing for them. This is what I'm supposed to do because my kids' friends are doing all these activities. My child would be left out if he's not in all these things. And in reality, not necessarily. Probably your son, your daughter might be wanting to do other things, or maybe none of them. And that might be okay. So stepping back a little bit
exactly.
and think.
And thinking about so some people will say, no, I'm okay. We've kind of normalized. Stress can be a good thing. There are certain stresses that are good, but a lot of the stress, the chronic stress that we are undergoing now is not.
No.
So going back to the nervous system, we are in fight or flight. So instead of being in, if you think about it, so many of us walk around feeling tense on a really everyday basis.
And it's so common that you don't realize that this is not good.
Well, and how does it impact our parenting? I think, beyond just me as individual Chelsea, it obviously impacts me and my success in life. But I know from my own personal experience that stress impacts me. It shortens my temper, and that's a really common response. And my decision making is not as good.
Oh, your creativity gets blunted because you're in fight or flight mode, or or you get paralyzed.
Yeah,
and you don't make decisions.
Yeah.
Yes, so those are the things that stress does. So when you liberate yourself from that, you are more creative and you can think of solutions that are outside of the box. And lo and behold. And the other thing that I always like to tell the parents, ask the kids for a solution too. Sometimes the parents think that, I have to have the solution for everything. Ask the kids. They sometimes have very creative and very, very good ideas on how to solve a family situation.
Yes. But if we're going to take it into the everyday habit formation and changing the patterns that we've created, or changing the lifestyle that we've created that has such an abundance of stress, I think the first thing that you and I both promote personally, but then with our clients and patients and with our students, is a pause. So the power of the
where everything
pause.
starts.
Yeah. If we can't take 3 to 5 minutes, hopefully a couple of times a day, and even schedule it. So I'm a lover of schedules, and because I have ADHD, I need to stick to a schedule. It's how I live my best life. And I will schedule where I have a little alarm clock that goes off, and it says it's your time to take a break.
And I always put an example. How do you realize that you had to pee, for example? How do you realize? Because you have to pause and think, oh my goodness, you have to listen to your body.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Because I've done that. I am in such a thing. I'm running like chicken with no head. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, I have to use the restroom. But it needed me to stop to realize what my body is trying to tell me. So it's the same thing for everything.
Yeah.
And that's something very simple.
It is really simple. And I think a way that is easy to bring it into your day if you don't care to schedule it out in the way that I do. When you're building that extra buffer in your day and when you're scheduling things out, give yourself some extra time and think about if you're traveling from here to there, you might have 3 extra minutes in the car that you can just be quiet and breathe. And some people with the chaos of life, if they don't have a car full of kids, that 3 minutes in the car can, when you're walking from work into the house, from your house into work.
Yes. And it's, to me, for example, I realize that there are times that I'm so used to either listen to music or a podcast or a book that I'm, listening on my way to work or not. And sometimes it's like, no, I don't need that today. I need silence to think. And sometimes there is something that I hear in a podcast or in a book, and it's like, oh, I need to stop and think about this. This is so powerful, that thought, and it's more productive than just continue to listen in that, like in without stopping.
Right.
So that pause is, I wish more people understand the power of the pause.
Well, and I know that when you bring it to the family table and you bring it in as a challenge, that power of the pause, and say, how can we each create moments of pause throughout the day? Just as you said, kids have brilliant ideas. And if it's before dinner, that's wonderful. And you all do it together. And it's quiet and you're breathing. Breath work, walking, stretching, quiet space, all of those are really functional.
Yes.
So, our call to action for you is to consider one way, even before, regardless of when you're listening to this, one way this week, within the next 7 days, that you can find a moment to pause and repeat it.
Yes.
Maybe the same time of day every day, if possible.
Yeah, and it's learning what works for you. This is the beauty of that whatever things the recommendations and things that we say, whatever works for you might not work for me, but how do I know what works for me if I don't give it a try?
Yeah.
So this is such a simple solution, but some people might say, nah, that doesn't work. But just give it a try. What can happen?
Right. You're certainly not going to be worse off than you were before.
No.
Chances are you're going to be less stressed.
Yes.
So let's think about another one, decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is a reality that so many parents face because of the amount of information we have out there and the amount of decisions we have to make on an everyday basis for ourselves, for our family. And I think, just as you brought up in the very beginning, paralysis is such a common thing. Or making the decision that's the easiest decision, whether it's habit, even if it's not good for you.
Exactly.
So there are some things that you can do to take yourself out of decision. If you systematize some of your everyday routines, then you're not making decisions on everything. Some things are just set. And, diving into the food component of things, when we meal prep, we take a lot of the decision out of every day. And so let's talk about that a little bit.
It's interesting because many people do buy food, pre-made food, because they think that it's the fastest way. And if you think about it, if you have something already made, if you take time, again, including the kids, is always, you're going to hear me saying that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Including them in that process of, let's make whatever staple that for example, let's talk rice. Let's say rice. We're going to make a big bowl of rice, and we're going to freeze some of it, and we're going to use some of it, and tomorrow or Wednesday we're going to have that for lunch. And that saves you money, saves you time in the end, because you're probably going to have the same amount of time preparing that ordering it and doing all these things, and it's so much healthier. And you have that at home with the kids and all that. So organizing and thinking ahead is probably, that's the hardest thing. Organizing and thinking ahead, this is how we're going to do it. So
I have been using AI, and this is we're going a little off script on this, but I have been using AI for a while, and using ChatGPT. If you can take a picture of your refrigerator and then add a recipe, perhaps you add one of our recipes to your conversation, and then or 2 recipes, and say, based on what I have in my refrigerator, and I know, based on what I have in my refrigerator and this recipe, what else do I need in order to make this recipe, and what else can I make for the rest of the week? So it sounds pretty crazy.
That's very creative.
But it is. So you take a picture, and then, you add an inspiration recipe. It'll probably give you a grocery list where you need to get a couple of extra things, tell you already have some things. Don't forget the pantry to take a picture of that. And then it can generate you a list and give you suggestions. And if the more specific you are, if you say, I'm plant-based and I want to be really aware of fiber. And then the better that the generative AI can give you that list.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
But talking about using your time wisely.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I never thought about that.
Yeah, so that's that's a tool that I suggest to my clients because it saves time and then it allows them that old adage about teaching, giving a man a fish, whereas teaching them to fish. I think when people learn that it's not as hard and they can be creative,
Exactly.
it changes everything. So 2 default breakfasts, are great to have on hand.
And then they could be, for example, you have your overnight oats.
Yep.
But the overnight oats from today, it could be the same base, but the one that today, the whole week, it could be a different oats.
Right.
Breakfast. So one has strawberries, the other one has nuts, or peanut butter, whatever. So every day can be a different one. And the work it was the same and
exactly
fast, delicious, and healthy.
Exactly. And, I think that diversity is key. And we've talked about this, and we're going to delve into diversity in diet a little bit more. The more diversity you have in your diet of real, whole, plant-forward foods, the less you're going to be wanting to reach for those ultra-processed foods.
Yes.
So, that is really valuable. I want to know, though, what's your favorite? Do you like overnight oats?
I love overnight oats.
What's your favorite combination?
Whatever I have in the house, I put in there. I try to add as many plants as I can in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I aim for variety, for diversity of plants. So I usually put berries if we have, bananas, because this is how I make it sweet. I like it sweet. I like flaxseed and chia. Traditionally, if I have some yogurt, I put some yogurt. Berries, whatever fruit I have. Sometimes apples and walnuts. It's usually kind of like the usual thing, but it depends on what's in the pantry. And
I will share that I don't love oats, but I love quinoa, and I mix quinoa with rice cauliflower, and you wouldn't think it's good, but you add cinnamon, quinoa, rice cauliflower, hemp seeds, a little bit of salt, and if you want to add something sweet to the top, it's like a nice little base. It's a little bit savory, but it's a different approach, but still, it just shows you it doesn't take much time.
No.
Yeah.
No, especially if you have it overnight or you did it, before you plan for it.
Exactly. Well, right, plan for it. So our suggestion to you is try the if you're using ChatGPT or some variation of it, try my tip. And then plan. Do a loose meal plan and just bring your family in and
always,
make it an experiment.
Always.
So moving on to the next one, screen time is a big thing, and we breathe heavy as we talk about this because I think we all know
it's such a big deal, and it's so hard. It's so hard for us to control. I imagine, but the difference is the harm that it's doing in the kids' brains. Okay, that's the problem. So, one of the things that, for example, we talk about the 2/3 of the calories. The kids, it's being ultra processed food. So. One thing that I always tell the parents, they say, "Oh, it's so hard," and they go for the same thing over and over and over. But making it the easy choice, the good choice, the easy choice. I always tell them, if you have a bowl of fresh fruits in the middle where everybody has to go, I have a spot in the house that is like where everybody has to go, and if they're hungry, and then there is no other options because that's the thing. If the chips are there, the salty, fatty chips are there, they're going to go for that. It doesn't matter how big the bowl is or how much variety is in there. That's not as appealing for many, many reasons.
Well, and so just to bring us back, we're talking about changing the environment. And we were talking about food and screen time and how changing the environment is the quickest way to find a small and a big win.
Yes.
And just as you were saying, if you put something good for you out from a food standpoint, then that changes the environment where they're running to that first. If you even take it one step further and lessen or take away the ultra processed food, or make a house rule that you have the fruit first and then beyond, I think that's really super important.
Just crowding, you want to do this first. Okay, you can have it, but this has more energy for you. I want you to have, not because this is bad, but this has, or I mean, it's obviously the easiest choice is not to have it in the house. That's the obvious choice. But if it needs to be in the house for X, Y, or Z, still, this is you. I want you to have, not because this is healthier, not because this is good for you, this gives you energy. See whatever the kid wants to do. I think this is going to help you play better sport than this thing. And then little by little, you can explain the whys.
Well, and I know that when we are parents, we need to lead by example. And
absolutely.
So this is good for us too, because we can't expect that children will behave in a way that we're not exemplifying. And that goes into, the technology component. So changing the environment. What if you were to have a box in your kitchen where you put your phone, not necessarily a closed box, it could be an organizational box where the rule is when you walk in the door, you put your phone there and you keep it there. It might be a charging station, and it might be a pre-dinner time, but setting up new environments or a adjusted environment in order to change our response is really important.
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes the hardest thing is not to make the kids change, is to have the adults change their habits. Nobody likes change. Change is hard. And the idea that I have to change first, is very difficult for adults because, face it, the habits, the sick of the habits that are working for us either relaxes us or takes us, let's say relaxation. And you're going to take away from me the scrolling that relaxes me, which not necessarily is good for you. But so I can help my kid. But my kid is behaving better when he's on the phone. What are you talking about? They're quiet and it's not bothering. So it's more complicated because you're telling me that I need to stop doing that and it's going to be more chaotic. This might be more chaotic for a while, but in the end, it's better for everybody's brain health, for example.
Well, and that is such an important point, that change is hard. And the default mode is that for a reason, that our body and brains want to fall back into the habits, even if they're not good for us. So knowing that a little bit of discomfort, just like if you think about, I'm an endurance athlete. So if you think about when you're pushing through a really hard workout, and Dr. Yolanda is now an athlete as well. When you're pushing through something hard, there's an element of discomfort, but at the end of that is something really positive. So, putting it in those terms, I think, is really important. A couple of other switches that you can make in the environment are bedtime lighting. We can switch what kind of lighting we have, where we keep our phones when we go to bed. Yes.
And it's something that many people don't realize, that the lights in the environment, it's our cue to our brain to let us know that we are awake. So softening the lights in the whole household as the night is falling, the day is falling down, it's a signal that, okay, this is getting the cue for the brain. Melatonin starts like, okay, well, this is happening. And we can talk when I have a whole episode on sleep alone. But this is one of those things that I tell the parents, those big bright lights have, how do you call it? The lights on the softer lights on the house, that you can turn those on, take off the big lights, and
well, even beyond that, the screen light is something.
No, well, that's the biggest one.
Going back to the idea of changing the environment, that if you normalize from an adult standpoint of keeping your phone somewhere else when you're sleeping to charge. I actually have a rule in my house that my daughter is not allowed to have her phone in her room as she's getting ready for bed and going to bed. So it's charging in another room. And I have to say that if our goal is to reduce stress from an adult and a child standpoint, managing our circadian rhythm and making sure that we're not making our body stress by scrolling on the screen late at night is one of the easiest wins and easiest shifts that you can make.
It's simple. It's a simple thing.
Simple, maybe not
easy.
Yes, that's right. Simple,
Yes,
simple.
It's simple. And the same thing, like the pause is simple, maybe not easy if you're not used to that.
Yeah.
And the same way we want to protect our sleep, we want to protect our movement.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And, movement is so important from the get-go, from the baby into the adulthood. So, for example, babies need to move. Babies need to put in their tummy to start doing exercise, to start strengthening their arms, their legs. From there to crawl, from there to walk, and keeping them in a space that is confined, like a walker, for example. Not only is dangerous because it can tip over and they can have a head injury, but it's also so important for the development of the brain. And from then on, from 0 to 100, movement is crucial. It changes our brain system.
Yeah, and if going into even longevity and now there's so much research to validate that movement and strength training and strengthen your legs is correlated to cognitive ability and capabilities later on in life. But starting early is really so key. And from a parental standpoint, if you're not moving your body, it's hard to tell your kids to move their body. And if you can do it, if you can gamify it, make it a routine, even, a small little walk after dinner, which I know you and I both love, or first thing in the morning to get that vitamin D. Those are just small little wins that you can incorporate. I mean, it's not rocket science.
Yes.
It just takes strategy.
And it's just getting it used to find what works for you again. I love to see when I see young parents walking with their kids. I mean, it's such a beneficial thing for everyone. And the kids behave better. The parents enjoy that. It's relieves the stress for everyone.
Yeah, and we touched a little bit about sleep, but I think if we want to just delve in a little bit more, and this does warrant a full podcast, but consistency and going to bed and waking, sleep and wake time is really important for managing stress from an adult standpoint and from a kid standpoint. You can speak to that.
The managing of stress with
sleep.
Yeah. I mean, again, we go back to sleep as such an important, crucial part of our daily lives that everybody should understand.
Give us the little bit of tip about the glymphatic system.
Okay. The glymphatic system is the system that is the housekeeping. This is the system that cleans our brain. But it would not happen if we don't have enough time, enough hours to sleep. So when we go to sleep, this magnificent system takes care of cleaning, and that's why it helps our memory. It helps consolidation of memory. I mean, for example, for kids that do not have enough sleep, speaking of adolescents that are on their phone the whole time, they're going to have a hard time remembering, having good grades and all that because that didn't happen in the middle of the night.
Well, the glymphatic system is something that's relatively new, but it's so important because when we think
new discovery.
New discovery. It's not new in our body, our scientists are constantly coming up with other discoveries that support the importance of sleep and consistency in sleep-wake time, and also early morning sunlight is really important for managing.
Even if you're just taking your coffee with the window open, let that sunlight get into your eyes is very important. Instead of getting sunglasses right away, let that sunlight get into your eyes.
Yeah. Well, we kind of took you through some of the biggest challenges that parents face. But what does success actually look like? I think we have this picture of comparison is a terrible game, but it's hard not to get caught up in it. And I think you see these families that are theoretically successful and living these perfect lives, and they still have stress. There's no such thing.
Yeah.
But what does it mean from just a scientific standpoint and a life standpoint to have success? I mean, it means a calmer nervous system, right?
Oh, yes.
It means fewer decisions that are challenging. So when you can implement some changes in order to strategize and optimize your time, you have to make less decisions.
And that's why it's normalizing, the overnight oats making and making that part of your habit is going to help you make fewer decisions.
Exactly.
Like that.
And then, what success looks like for me is a supportive environment. And you touched on this. So, we're just giving you some thoughts as to how you might want to reshape this new year if you're listening to it on the edge of the new year or on the edge of a new day, because every day is an opportunity to make a better decision.
And,
so speak to community a little bit more.
Oh, my goodness. For parents?
Yeah.
Well, if you're new in the area or if you're so used, like this is normal for you to be, like you're a single mom or it's just a couple with a kid, just give it out there. Look at the things that you guys like and try to find what in your neighborhood. I mean, speaking of Savannah has so many opportunities, more than many other cities where I'm so proud to live in here. I love all the changes that we're doing, like, for example, Healthy Savannah. There are more walkways, more places to bike. So look for things that you have in common. Either is this Humane Society, anything that you like to do together, and find another couple or whether it's at church. And this is going to be such an improvement in the quality of life of your family. And I mean, it is a win-win. Both families will win.
Well, and going back to the science of it, there was the blue zones, the centenarian communities. One of the commonalities is community. That community is so key, and we've gotten out of touch with that. And with the stress that we're under, the more we can engage in community, not only because we see that other people are facing similar challenges, but more because, just as you said, there's support opportunities there. People want to help other people.
Community is crucial for I mean, that's the more important thing that they found in the blue zones, that community, the helping each other.
Yeah. And being realistic, I think, is one of the most important things, that we can compare ourselves to somebody's. I listened to someone who was talking about, like, I can look at your cake, but I forget how much it took to make your cake, and I don't even know what's inside your cake. It's similar to how we see other people. We might see the perfect version of what they're presenting, but we don't know. So there's no room for comparison.
Oh, yeah.
In my life.
I always tell the kids, going back to the phones, Instagram is one of the, for example, in girls, one of the things that affect the most is that they compare themselves with something that is not even real.
Yeah.
And instead, I tell them, compare yourself with yourself, with your wins. I mean, compare yourself. If you're going to look back at where you were and where you are right now, what are you gaining? And if you fell and you had this goal of making this X, Y, or Z, and it didn't happen, go back and reset the goal. Just don't give up.
Exactly.
Just keep trying, but do not compare yourself with anybody else. That's so important. If you
parents
do. If you pause and you're still thinking, why am I thinking like that? Maybe I am comparing. Maybe if you don't pause, you don't realize that this is the problem. I'm comparing myself with Chelsea, and Chelsea runs every day. And why I don't have the energy that Chelsea has, I don't know, whatever. It's just because it's different. We're two different human beings, and we have different likes and goals and dreams.
And being realistic about when we're looking to change our lifestyle to manage stress, being realistic about what our best version of ourselves is, I think is really the grounding factor. And every person in your family, the best version of themselves is going to look different.
Yes, and every kid that you have 10 kids that are all going to be different.
So connection over perfection, and I think that's, the last thing, connection over perfection and progress over perfection is like
always
it's my mantra.
Yes. And then again, you don't realize if you're on pause and think, assess, okay, this is what's happening. Yes.
So anything else before you dive into your Spanish
Oh,
recap?
yes. I have, no, this is one thing, always do not fear that your kids are bored. That's something I always tell everybody.
Boredom is good.
Is really good for the brain of the kids. It brings out their creativity. And I still remember the times that I purposely made my kids be bored. There's nothing. Don't feel that you have to provide entertainment 24/7.
So as you're making shifts in your life, and maybe you're taking down the screen time and enlisting your family's help with food prep, also, and maybe making decisions on what a different version of extracurricular activities are, don't forget that, just as you said, downtime, if it's constructive in the sense that it's not in front of a screen, is so important for us too. I'm learning that lesson every day. I'm trying.
Learning is in progress until we die.
Yes,
and that's how I see it.
Exactly. And you are my role model on that. It's true.
Because I'm older, that's why.
Just a little bit. So we will have our Spanish recap for our Spanish
How much
viewers.
time we have?
Short.
Very short. Not much.
Let's go.
Okay. So, en español, para mis familias latinas, estamos hablando del estrés en los padres, ser padres no es fácil. Eso estoy segura que todo el mundo que es padre lo sabe. Y se ha documentado que el estrés en los padres es más alto que las personas que no tienen niños, por muchísimas razones. Pero, por ejemplo, una de las cosas que discutimos que podemos hacer es tratar de no compararnos con otras personas, tratar de planificar el día y poner cosas que son rutinas. Que la rutina sea que el desayuno, tenemos 2 o 3 cosas del desayuno que son más simples, que es lo que a los niños les gusta, pero que es saludable. Hacer la rutina del sueño, de actividad física, cosas que son saludables, pero incorporarlas en la vida diaria, y de esa manera se convierte, es más fácil si ya está incorporado en la rutina de la familia. Si pueden leer las letras al final del podcast y traducirlos, se le va a hacer más fácil entender todo lo que dijimos. Pero gracias por estar aquí.
Beautiful. Once again, still don't understand. One day I will. But don't forget, when stress goes down, clarity goes up. When regulation improves, habits follow. And when parents are supported, children thrive. So you can follow us on social media, purpose.plants.lifestyle. And you can go to our website at purposeandplants.com. And we've got something exciting coming up. We're launching our Academy series, HSA, FSA approved, community and education for any parent that's looking for a roadmap, support, a community, and to truly thrive in 2026. So once again, I am Chelsea Dye.
I'm Dr. Yolanda Rivera-Caudill. And never stop learning, searching, being curious, and believe in yourself. It can be done.
Cheers.